Shalom, Israel. Shalom to the Gentiles. Shalom, all those who are in the truth of Yahushua Mashiach. I'm just hopping on this YouTube here. It's about 5 a.m. I've been up since maybe 2:30 a.m. Usually there's a word, there's a meditation, there's a prayer for me, but I done been through it all. And something just ain't clicking. I ain't been able to find that heaviness in my eyes to lay my head to rest. So I figured I'd give this a shot of making a video. I don't know where it's going to go. I'm assuming YouTube, and probably put it up with no tags, maybe a caption, I don't know. But when I just drove to the gym for something to do, so I'm right here and ready if I end up taking a nap. But when I was driving here, I was meditating what I can speak on, and I thought it's a good time for a testimony. My name is Ramiel, 27 years old, and I want to say new to the truth, I guess. Since I was about 19, 20, 21, had some out-of-body experiences that led me down the kind of new age and occult path. It's kind of where I met Yahushua, and I fell for the trap of the J name. I'll say it plainly. I don't go by that name no more because that ain't the name of who I'm talking about. That to me is somebody else. I'll talk about that later on in this little video, but maybe 2-3 years in the New Age, occult, kind of Eastern, then again 2-3 years in churchianity, and now I was just baptized in August, and I am flaming and filled with the Ruach. I never really expected it to be this significant, in all honesty, but it's really coming to fruition, The level of perseverance and endurance that Yah has given me, the strength, is just incredible. The heaviness that comes on my body at times is only manageable. That's the wrong word, but I'll say manageable by just kneeling in prayer. I guess we've seen the Master do that in the Garden of Gethsemane, in the Mountain Olives. And let me know if anybody else feel that amazing heaviness when you don't cave into eating a little food, when you don't cave into a cigarette or hitting a bong, and you let that heaviness play out, knowing that He will not suffer you more than you are able. You come on strong, definitely. I want to get into one little topic, though, about this Christian church. So I mentioned I was in the occult, New Age, all that. I ain't gonna glorify nothing like that. And then into churchianity. I came to know this Jesus figure during out-of-body experiences, during night terror, sleep paralysis, things like this. I would call on all these other pagan things. I had my own meditations, light swords, and other defense mechanism I had built up. Usually worked pretty good until those real crafty spirits came that would twist me up and wrestle me up. Makes me really think about Jacob, but I do remember one specific time where I was literally wrestling somebody who was like a double black belt, because, man, I've done a little bit of jiu-jitsu, and this guy was twisting me up all in the astral spirit realm, and trying to cut him with my sword, my third eye, and I know third eye ain't the truth, but trying to do all this and that, and crying out to anything I could think of, and I said that J name, and boom, there he goes. So I fell into churchianity. I started calling this and that demonic. I gave up the weed. I gave up whatever else you're supposed to give up. And during this time, I was prayed over, anointed, and I've, how do you humbly say, but I mean, Hashem has used me, I guess, to lay hands on people, old ladies, knees healed, and sickness cast out, headaches, migraines, a blind lady's eyes were open. All glory to Hashem, and if those are truly from Hashem, those people will be in that healing. It's not a temporary gift. But what started to throw me off is when I read these scriptures and you have Yahushua say, "Think not I am come to destroy the law and the prophets, but I am to fulfill." So why is the church eating pork? Why is the church worshiping on Sunday and not keeping Shabbat? Why is the church, most of them 300 pounds, and all they care about is football? And I mean, it's really just football. I don't know. Maybe wrestling or box. I don't know what else people are into, but why don't they just love and reverence Yah every day? Like, why are we going to these things, you know? A meal a day is good, you know? They've turned it into 3 meals. It's something else. But anyways, I want to share a dream. I'm not claiming to be a dreamer, not claiming to be a seer, I'm not claiming to be a prophet, but I do want to share a dream I had. And I was in this about Russian type looking place. If you just imagine with your Ain Ahad, your first eye, a Russian looking, kind of wintry, massive cathedral. And, you know, in my dream, I'm like, wow, yeah, Jesus, let's go, you know. This was, whatever, 2-3 years ago. And I now have the revelation. It was a Malachim speaking to me, and he said, "This is the church of Jezebel." Now, that sounds crazy. I don't know. I guess if you're in the church, it sounds crazy, and it's a pretty bold statement to make. That's why I've had this dream about 2-3 years ago, and just now, I don't think I've told anybody about it. But when you really analyze these churches and what they're operating under, it's this emotional realm. Like, tell me you go to a worship, it's just emotion. Nothing wrong with your emotions. But you don't worship God in emotion. You worship God in spirit and in truth. And I know that word cut like a sword that I just said, but hey, all glory to Hashem. So, you said this is the church of Jezebel, and I think I want to talk about is so many people are operating under that spirit in that church, and a lot of it, I'm not calling them bad people, I'm just saying they're hurt people. It's, if you start peeling back the layers, you see people with trauma, people with pain and things, and the church, and say it's a worship leader, it's a like myself, somebody who is ministering healing. All these things are just to hide the pain that people are suffering. There's a way out. You know, it's Yahushua. It's keeping the Shabbat. It's keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. It's keeping the feasts. It's being connected to Israel, whether that's by blood, whether that's by just your congregation. You know, we're commanded. Like, it's just crazy how off the whole church is. And I'm not from America. I'm in America right now. And so I get to see a different little perspective of this church scene. You know, when I first came down here, I thought, man, these guys love JC. This is amazing. And now I see that JC ain't Yahushua. It cannot be the same deity. Look at the fruit that they bear. You know, how many people that go to church, how many pastors, we'll say this, how many, don't worry about the people that go to church. Let's go to the shepherds now, okay? Because people, hey, we all aren't perfect. But let's go to the pastors, those who are responsible for the flock of Israel. and whether it be Gentiles too then. But listen to this. So you got these pastors. How many do you know that are a healthy body weight? You know, your body is a temple of the Ruach Kadesh. How many do you know that are healthy, like fit? I really can't think of any that I've met around here. I'm not trying to blaspheme or come against them, but come on, y'all. You know, you're better than that. But this is the fruit of not keeping the law. I know if I can be awakened to this truth that many others have been too, but they've withheld the light. They're not walking into it because they're comfortable. They're getting their check signed. These guys, for a living, go on and do one day of work on Sunday. They go on Google or ChatGPT and get a sermon. Really? It's a new time we're walking in, and light is being poured out. What I can just say, if I had to summarize this video and make it, what do you say? How do you say? The sum of the matter is this, as Shalum said: fear Elohim and keep His commandments. Wow, I didn't plan that one, but yeah, that is the sum of the matter. Shout out Beth Elohim, and yeah, you know, another thing, one last thing. Okay, Yahushua says, Mark 12:29. He says, they say to him, what is the first greatest commandment? And he says this: the first and greatest commandment is this: Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Y'all can look up the English of what that means, but when you are one, everything around you is one. You know, Aleph separates Mem from Shin. That's it. It's any devil, demon, any critter, any bird. Aleph separates Mem from Shin. You have Aleph, the air. You have Mem, water. Mem Sofit, the earth. Shin, fire. Aleph separates Mem from Shin every time. Trees, yep. Plants, yep. Lakes, yep. Yahweh is one. Shalom.